30 knots, but 10 AOA. So we're stuck all the way over here. And basically what we got to do is we got to like dip the nose down and get up to speed on LD max. And for speed for that was like, whatever it was, I don't remember, 270 or something at that point, because we were so heavy. But yeah, basically once we get on this side of the LD max, then we get the speed back a lot quicker. And the curves are terrible in this picture, but that's the general idea.
Yeah, I understand what your drawing is. I guess my issue too is, I was trying to get to your guys' elevation because you were saying get what was it 25,000 at the time or something like that, and I was low, and so I can't climb and do that. I mean, so would I just have to say that, and then we have to change the game plan?
Not necessarily. So best climb is going to be greater than LD max. That much is always a given. So um, yeah, just
No.
get some smash. Sometimes you'll get speed faster. And I have a nice picture actually. You'll get speed faster if you just unload the jet, get above the LD max speed, and you'll start to build the speed faster. You can get up to your max rate of climb speed. And for us, that's going to be based on our drag index, 200, looks like 365 or something like that would be a pretty good climb schedule.
Well, so
Here we
you're saying
go.
that if you tell us to be in a certain position and altitude, and I'm not there, for me to get there, I have to go down,
Yeah,
get speed, and then come back up.
yes. And remember, with any of our tactical maneuvering, like line abreast and everything, you have 2,000 feet of altitude to work with. So basically bid high, and if you need to get speed, you can dive down, get your speed, go low, whatever it is. I really don't want to critique your formation at all today because that was brutal. I think we're all Link 16 cripples to some degree, and it's even harder with the 3 ship figuring out who's who in the zoo, with heavy weights, and just like the jet acted like a Boeing today. You know what I mean? Like, eh, I'm not going to throw stones at our form, um, because I was encountering all sorts of issues myself. Um, I do feel like we eventually got it figured out. It looked like I had Mala where I needed him. Stryker, I know, kind of ended up in trail here on the commit. This was insane to have like a pop-up group at 18 miles by the time my radar saw it. We all flow colds. We recommit here. Bonsai, I have Mala sort into my group. And Mala, great job for actually doing that. At this point, they're cold. And so I should have dropped us and had us search for hot contacts. Here comes Loco. I'm thinking, I don't remember what happens here. We terminate.
I did see him coming in. I was about to shoot, but I didn't know he was actually a real red. But
yeah,
then we got the call to go out, so I went out with you guys.
Yeah, and I think the interesting staple here is no Link 16, hot contact. Is it a hostile or is it these guys going cold, right? So these comms become really important situational awareness wise. Like, yes, we should have IDM, so we should be able to see each other, but definitely a lot of interesting staples to throw here, right? Like, especially if we're past the wire, we've strangled our IFF, which you can't do in DCS, but yeah, very interesting, eye-opening. We table that. Let's go do the CDLOs. Good reform, by the way. This is the part I was pleased with. Like, okay, Amala, nice form. We got Stryker into wedge. Stryker, I just put you back there. I know it's not a standard formation, but it made more sense than putting my 2 back there. I was like, this should be fairly easy to do. We threat react to the 8, kind of lean around it. At this point, it's like, okay, my HTS doesn't work. Then we come up with a decoy plan. I shackle with Mala just as another cross check that hey, is this 11 working? Actually, shackle first, then decoy plan. I split. And at this point, I just low SA. I was expecting to get basically hit by this thing early. It must have been out of missiles due to the A-10s, so it never shot at me. I basically overflew it, and it wasn't until I looked outside my jet and saw it that I was able to just drop a mark point on it visually. Stryker has the good SA to turn in. Was that 11 and with the 8s, so they were actually coming up on your guys' HTS today.
Yeah, they were.
Wow, that's nice.
There's 2 8s and then 2 11s, right?
I think I only saw 111, but I could be wrong.
I zoomed into that, like the EXP or whatever, on the HTS, and I looked like I saw 2, and that was fucking me up too, because I think you might have called a bullseye at some point. I'm like, I can't find the right one.
I gotcha. All right, then I was like sending you data, and with everything broken, we couldn't even send the data.
Data didn't come
so-
through. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, let's just hand jam it. We hand jam it, kind of get people anchored up here to the north. Come up with the seed game plan. I wrote this down. So the TOT was going to be 19.0530 with a first pet shot at 19.0030. And I think Stryker and I were talking so much, kind of working through his TGP problem, Mala never had a chance to get that harm off in the time prior. So then once we figure that out, I slipped the time to 19.0930 with the first shot at, I think I said 19.530 or 19.430.
And you said 19.0930, and then that was a 4-minute push. So I don't know when the shot was going to happen. That's when the POS was going to show 09 plus 30, right?
Yes. So pet. Oh yeah, that's right. Pet 0530. So basically here, we should have seen a harm shot come off for that time, because remember the harm should be impacting at that time, not being shot at that time.
I can explain.
So you can go ahead.
I can explain because I have it written down here as 19.0930, not 19.0530.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the TOT was Stryker's time, and then the PET time, PET 0905, whatever it was, that's our time to start the shot interval. So
Right, and at 09 I did.
I gotcha. So I slipped it though, and I said like, hey, let's slip, and I wrote down 0550. You shot, so we started the table here, and the expectation was, all right, shoot another one, basically whenever it was that I started you. I think I went with another sniper call, and then you followed it up. The two things I noticed on these shots were that you used the time of flight format, which is fine, but it does make it more challenging to know when you are supposed to shoot the next one, or when we should hear the next call, basically. So because I directed it, you could make a strong argument, especially with how degraded everything was today, that TOF is good. And I will take TOF over nothing. But when you're doing pet seed, if you can call time like Magnum 11 timeout 0550, Magnum 11 timeout 0650, so that when I know when your timeout should hit, it just helps me now know, okay, add a minute and I should shoot at 0750 as an example. I did the quick math based off of what your TOF was, but it burned a couple brain cells for me because I had to think about that. And my math is bad.
No issue. I think the reason why I did that, and again, it's just me not understanding, because we were doing and I have written here 0930 and 1030. And that's what I was going off of for the pet. When you called sniper, I switched my thing, which when we talked about it, when you do a sniper call or a slap shot, you don't even put the time in there. So I almost didn't even say a time.
Okay, so we always do time. Like there will always be a time. You could make an argument for slapshot, you won't have time of flight, but we always do time. The sniper call in this case, so I called this the status, and basically it was like, okay, he didn't shoot. I assessed that was the start of the pet interval, and so the sniper call is a backup to that in that case.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So it's just like redundant, right? Like I let you apply the contract or apply the time, you miss it. Okay, no factor, it's 10, 15 seconds. All right, I'll direct it with the sniper call. That's all it is. But that's okay. It's easy. We fixed it. No big deal. I think I had to start suppressing early. So we start suppressing this thing. Here, I should have another harm come off. And I had flashing box, and right as I go to hit the button, it stops flashing because I'm mid-range. So lack of situational awareness with how close I was. I wanted to be in an anchor so I could lace for Stryker, but then ended up mid-ranging the harm. So that shot actually does not come off, but I had remember 0650, 0750 for those Magnum calls. So instead of jam up the net, I just figured we'd hit that in the debrief. Stryker calls in 7 miles. Really good call, Stryker, because it helps me with my situational awareness as to where you are. You called the stores. Here's the only problem I have with the stores. Time of flight. Give me a time of flight so that I know when to expect to see your splash. Because if I'm not in a wheel, I'm going to be maneuvering. My pod might be masked, but I want to know when to turn in. I'm just going to check my DED. I'm going to know when to turn in so I can get my pod on again. Or just so I can shift my visual scan from outside to back to the pod. So that the time of flight is actually kind of handy.
Okay.
It's okay. You actually track well, and it's nice that without any mark point, DAC point, we did get ourselves anchored to this point. So I think originally there's this intersection here. The mark point that you probably had was this. You slaved over. We got you on this. I think the issue here was the offset from my helmet-mounted queuing system. It was a bad mark point, and I should have refined it with the TGP and then sent it. So that's on me. That was like really bad switchology, and then me jumping the gun, and it
now
created
I thought you said
issues.
I thought you said targetable though, so that's where I was thinking. Oh, it should be like dead nuts on whatever we're hitting. So
yes, and so what happened was I create the mark point, I get the TGP, I slave the TGP, I made the TGP soy, basically on the snowdrift radar, and then I go data. So I should have been broadcasting my TGP SPI. But then when I'm like, oh, the data link SPI broadcast doesn't work, I didn't remember that. I was like, yeah, I dropped a mark point on it. I never dropped a mark point on the updated point. So I read you the coordinates of my initial queue. So that's on me. The data would have been targetable, but I was just thrown for a ride today. So your bomb impacts the SA3 kind of legacy systems. I don't know if you were able to conduct a visual sort. I know it was hard to see. These guys were not very hot, definitely hard to see on the IR. But this was actually the 11. So remember the 11, it's kind of like its own unit. You can see the flat radar it's got. Yeah, just a bad sort. These are not the right shape in this. It's got a nice flat radar with big old mast.
To add insult to injury, we've got like 3 SAMs all in the same to try to figure out what's what. For me,
yeah,
I messed that up.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, that's something we can talk about later, like the actual SAM pictures and what they look like. I mean, there's just so much material. I think what we did accomplish was we had a lot of issues that started compounding. And I know it wasn't optimum. I know it wasn't smooth. I know it was really rough in helmet fire, but I was pleased to see that our flight continued to work through it. I didn't hear any like major frustration on the radio. So if you were feeling it, thanks for not expressing it. Like, hey, we actually worked through it, and that was nice to see. We get the 8 here. I go in to kind of weasel it and basically hopefully get a harm off Stryker. I don't know if this was this I think I called slap shot or whatever it was. I was just trying to say, hey, give me your best harm on this 8. Just wanted to get your reactive DLO kind of met. you're cold here. Let's not worry about it. There's a lot of situational awareness that's just sucked out when we have so many issues. That thing kills me about 8 times. At this point, you do shoot the harm, so it's definitely well delayed, but you get it off the rail, which made me happy because I did not want any of us landing with ordnance. Mala lets us, so yeah, we worked through. So I was thinking, all right, Mala's on his recovery, but no, it's like, oh, he's all the way over here. So we had definitely dissolved as a flight. We're all split, but we get the rejoin going. And Stryker, I was just like, I need to form on Mala. He's the low guy. So I was not too concerned about you. I figured you'd be able to make it back here. At this point, I think my decision making starts to be somewhat suspect. So my thought was, let's give Mala the lead so that he can just maneuver where he needs to be. Easy overhead, land the field. I think what would have been better here, and what I would probably do next time, especially if we're so like saturated, was just like 2 fighting wing, and I would just enter the overhead, pick up the downwind, do a low approach, drop off 2, do my mist, go close traffic, and go around. Just so it's not like somebody who's low fuel, brutal sortie. Let's pick up this high key non-standard setup into 2.6. I didn't want to do a full break. I just wanted to let's just land. So yeah, some suspect decision making on my part, but at this point we do recover. Seems without issue, safe. I want to maybe stop back here and see what your guys' thoughts are up to this point.
So my problem is just that I haven't practiced any SFO stuff or even Creech stuff for months. I mean, I've never landed here other than for the SFO. That was it. So I was, and I wasn't prepared. That was a huge problem on my part. I wasn't prepared to do that as a divert, and I should be because that is a divert. I should have the the flips or whatever up, and I don't have anything. I need to fix this. And I'm going to, but so I was totally broken, and that's why I didn't. I literally if I didn't know anything.
Okay. Yeah, no worries, man. And I'm not throwing stones at you at all. I wanted to know, what the sentiment was or what the feelings were about, how things had progressed to this point. I was pretty concerned just because, like we're basically in a high key, like a late high key for T6. It's a non-standard recovery. But I also was somewhat concerned about your fuel state. I think this is, so there's a nice HUD tape. Sorry, I'm just going to make a quick note. There's a nice HUD tape of F16s going out to the range and coming back, and every portion of the flight is busy. They're always doing something. They're tracking, they're training, they're busy. This is something that Ben and I did the other day. We were busy doing his thing. We did his ACT on the way back, pass him the TAC lead. We get over here and it's like, hey, you got an engine failure. And we did SFOs, which right into Nellis. Basically, we were 32,000 feet, high profile, like we were today, and did a recovery at 40 miles, just glided all the way back. And I think that kind of stuff will, if we start doing a little bit more of, the busy work, coming off the range and sat as an example, hey, let's just actually recover to Creech. Let's divert to Creech. Some spins like that can make this a little bit more approachable so that we've done the practice before we actually need to use it. That's not on you or anything, Mal. It's just something that, I'm starting to think about more these days is, let's make the sorties better. But
now, if I were to make a comment there, I think probably the best approach for Creech in kind of a low fuel state would be essentially to head for the overhead, like cross over midfield.
Yeah.
More or less. And then like either do a left downwind or a right downwind for your high key and then your low key base. But I agree with what you said. If Malo wasn't familiar with it, he hadn't been there for a while, then it probably would be prudent to just basically have him off your wing, like loose, and then fly a loose formation and just be like, okay, here we are, we're on final, you're at altitude, just drop your gear and set it down.
Yeah.
The other thing too that could be helpful is, you know, if you don't have all your stuff out, you can do the wind in your Viper. Like if you do,
Dollar right.
Dauber right. Yeah, that's it. It pops up the wind direction and the wind speed. So then you know which runway that is the best runway to land. And with Creech, like all you need to know or have is 87 X-ray, and then you can just navigate direct to Creech.
Yep, for
and
sure.
you can get there and then get in visual. Probably most of the time it's going to be visual. So, and then with the wind, you know which runway to take, and it's probably either going to be 26 or 8.
Right.
You can get by with pretty minimal amount of information.
Yeah, it's also on the MDC, and I didn't even take a look at that. That's how stupid I was up there.
I wanted to quickly comment that over here, I was thinking about, hey, do we swoop right over the range, pick up a overhead, you know, do we go far side? We definitely had the altitude. We could have glided all the way in, but I was thinking for timing and let's just make it happen. I was like, let's just go over midfield and then pick up the left downwind for 2.6. So that was kind of my thought process to making it happen. But I agree with you, Stryker, that, you know, another way to do it probably would have been overhead, pick up the left downwind, or the
right downwind.
Right downwind. Yeah, exactly. I had to think about that. The right downwind for 2.6. I mean, I think that would have been another way to do it. I'm glad we recovered. Sorry we didn't meet all the DLOs, guys. Better luck next time, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure. Get some equipment that works.
Yeah, we were at Alpha, and I had like 13 and a half, 1.3 basically fuel.
13? Perfect. So we met the normal recovery. Nice job.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. I appreciate the flight, and yeah, I don't know. I have bad dreams tonight.
Well, I got good news for you. It's only uphill from here. You've done the hardest I think it can be. So it's only easier from this point on. And don't forget to log your time. 2 hours 26. That's what I'm gonna log here.
Oh yeah, forgot.
I cheated myself because I quit and started again.
I just logged the whole time.
It's too late. I don't have a problem logging the extra time, but log another flight. That's true. Yeah.
Just
kick in another half an hour.
Don't log the landing. I wish we could just update it, you know?
Yeah, you know, you can update your real logbook.
I should do code 2, return to base with damage.
Why?
I had some damage. I mean,
no,
I didn't like return.
No, it doesn't count if you have desync or server.
Yeah, well, I saw the desync, man. I felt it. So don't cut yourself short here.
That's
I disconnected. I was disconnected from the server. I mean, I literally was.
Local, I see you're still here, man. Thanks for jumping in and trying to support us. I'm sorry it didn't work out the way we had hoped it would.
He might have fell asleep.
He might have fell asleep. Stryker, my thought was, and I'd messaged Loco, and I didn't want to tell you, but I was like, hey, we're meeting all the criteria for the seed or for the check ride. You know, I was thinking that we were going to have everything working, and I was like, maybe we can just knock out Stryker's check ride. Surprise!
That would have been awesome.
He was gonna jump us for ACM, but that was just a cluster tonight. So sorry.
I'm
Well,
here.
it's-
I called merged when, like, basically I got around your 9 o'clock when you guys were committing another group, because I was like, well, if I shoot you, what was the point?
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, man.
if it wasn't for my mishap, I don't think any of this would have been a problem.
No, I don't think that's it, Mala.
I do. I think we having to go back and then because you were a different color on the data link, which means like a different group, of course, and then you know you kept coming in and out, then you just never showed up again, and then everything was going wrong. I feel like it's because of what happened there in the beginning.
I don't
My
know.
guess is that the new patch doesn't like it when the winds aloft are greater than like 20 knots, and it screws up the data link.
I don't like it
I know
either.
I know that sounds insane, but I would not be surprised if it's like,
Yep.
hey, the heading is too far from the track. Data link doesn't work anymore.
It
Something
worked during
stupid.
our fight.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, we had it all the time.
It was in and out. Roman was like popping in and out, and Mala was actually pretty good for me, but Roman was pretty much gone everywhere up north. Just he was popping in and out, maybe for like a little bit here and there. I don't know, Mala, did you have about the same?
Yeah, I mean, I had you no problem. You know,
Yeah.
we were both blue color there, and then Roman was green, and I don't understand why that is necessarily, other than I know that you're just a friendly. But the and then but yeah, I just couldn't have. I never could get uh Roman, but I had you constantly, so it's very odd, but
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Well, try it again one of these days.
let's go to bed, guys. Thanks for flying.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Thanks, Roman. Thanks, Mala. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Loco.
Loco. Thanks. See y'all.
See ya.
Yeah.